it's Jennifer from Flux. Welcome to the 2023 Flux Spring Crochet Along. This crochet along, we're going to be working on this beautiful Wisteria Trellis throw together. This is a gorgeous and super soft blanket for spring. It's not too heavy, but it's still really nice for those chilly spring days sometimes, and it'll take you through the warm weather. Now, this is a classic join-as-you-go granny square blanket, so we're going to be working on kind of some basics here and give us a beautiful blanket at the end. So this is week 1 of the crochet along. If you've never done these with us, we break the whole project down into kind of bite-sized pieces throughout a few weeks. So for week 1, today we're going to be working on talking a little bit more about the project, the supplies we're going to be using, and some sizing and things like that. Next week, for week 2, we're going to learn how to make a granny square, the first granny square of our blanket, stitch by stitch and step by step. So if you've never made a granny square before, you're in luck. We're going to go through the whole thing together. For week 3, we're going to learn how to connect our squares to make our blanket using the join-as-you-go technique. So basically, you're crocheting a square, you add another one on, you add another one on, and so forth. It uses the join-as-you-go technique, so it's nice and clean lines, very nice and neat looking, and super duper easy, and we're going to go through that together. For week 4 of our project, we're going to be working on some finish work, taking care of the ends, and also adding a lovely border to finish our blanket off. I've mimicked the same granny stitch that we have here in each of our squares, but I've made it into a border, and we've mimicked the palette as well. So we brought the purple, this taupe color, and the sage green through the project as well. So we'll learn how to do the border as well. You can get kind of a better look at it here at the corner and learn how to do that. And then for week 5, for all of our crochet alongs, I always do a recap over on the blog. And so I'll take all the parts of the videos, all the video parts, all the blog post parts with the written instructions, and I put them on one post. So if you want to come back or take your time, you can just have them in one handy post, and they're kind of all parked together so you can get to them all in one place. And I know I've gotten a lot of feedback. A lot of people like when I do that, just to be able to come back to it again and again. So let's talk a little bit about this blanket, the Wisteria Trellis Throw. So like I mentioned before, we're going to be learning how to make some granny squares. These are connected using the join-as-you-go technique. So no sewing, we're just crocheting them right on. So we'll be starting actually up here with the first square and add more squares and more squares until we get a blanket. Now my blanket here is kind of like a baby blanket size, like a throw. But because it's join-as-you-go, you can really make this as big as you want. You could make it a smaller blanket like I did, or you can make like a king-size blanket, like a huge blanket to cover a couch or a bed. So it's really up to you. It's very flexible. So we're going to go into a little bit more about the supplies and the sizing next. But first, if you look down below, be sure to join the Ravelry group and the Facebook group. Those are the kind of little communities for crochet along participants. So you can hop in and ask about colors. You can check and see what yarn people are using. A lot of people like to show off the colors that they'll be using, or if you have questions, there's a lot of experienced crocheters in there. Everybody kind of jumps in and helps. So the links to those 2 groups are down below. If you haven't joined us yet, hop on over and say hello. Also, if you're making this project, be sure and use the hashtag FiberFluxCowl to share your work. And it's really fun to see when you click on that hashtag to see all the different blankets that people are making. So let's jump right in and talk about supplies next. For this project, you'll need a pair of scissors, a tapestry needle, a 5.5 millimeter eye crochet hook. This is my Furls Odyssey in the black. I'll put the link down below if you'd like to get one for yourself too. We will be using a tape measure just to get the right size throw for you. But this is helpful, you can kind of measure as you go along if you like. So let's talk about the yarn. Let's scoot all this out of the way. We're going to be using 6 balls of Color Theory yarn. Now I've used this for some other projects before, and this is lovely. It's soft. It comes in a lot of great colors. I have 2 balls here of the tourmaline. It's like a soft kind of sage green. And then I have 2 balls here of the Provence. It's like a dusty grayish lavender color. And then I have 2 balls here of the Bone colorway, which is a soft beige. So if you need to substitute yarn, this is a total of 1,476 yards of a number 4 medium worsted weight yarn. So if you need to substitute yarn, just know that 1,476 yards of a medium weight yarn, okay? So each ball of this is 246 yards, and I'm using 6 of them. So that's basically all you're going to need to get started with our crochet along blanket. Now, like I mentioned before, mine is a smaller throw kind of baby blanket size. So if you want to make your blanket bigger, you'll need more yarn for that, depending on how big you want to go with that. Also, again, be sure and join the Ravelry group and the Facebook group. The links are down below to connect with other makers of this crochet along. And next week, we're going to get started on making our first granny square for our blanket. And that's it. So I will see you next week for week 2 of our crochet along, where we're going to jump right in with our hooks. So you'll have a whole week to kind of gather your supplies, figure out what colors you need. This is a very relaxing project. It's easy and kind of straightforward. And so these tutorials will be around forever, and you can kind of access them as often as you want to in your own time. So we're going to be learning how to do it, but these tutorials will be around and you can get to them anytime you want. So relax, choose your supplies, and I will see you next week for week 2, where we're going to jump right in and start making squares. Thanks so much for watching, and be sure and click the subscribe button to get all the latest Fiber Flux video updates. Thanks again.